Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was gonna wait for Melody, but she'll be joining us in just a minute, so we'll just get started and then Councilwoman Goetjes will be joining us. So the hour is 7:02 PM. We have reconvened in our business meeting. It's Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. It's 7:02 PM. Tooele City Council's meeting in Tooele City, in a business meeting in the Tooele City Hall Council Chambers located at 90 North Main Street in Tooele, Utah. This is also being broadcast on our Tooele City YouTube channel. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please rise and repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our second item is a roll call. Councilwoman Manzio.
Present.
Councilwoman Goetjes.
Present.
Councilman Hanson.
Present.
Councilman McCall.
Present.
And Councilman Brady, I'm also present. We'll move on to our third item, which is a public comment period. This is a time for the public to address the council. We ask that you state your name into the mic, you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and then you sign the paper over by Michelle and Loretta. The time is now the public's.
Good evening, council and staff members. My name's Howard Schmidt, and some of you know me. I'm from Riverton, Utah. And many of you know that we've developed many projects here in the city of Tooele. I've been involved in the Canyon Springs project that we have been working to annex into the city since late 2020. Unfortunately, the final step of the annexation process, our annexations came to a screeching halt when the city council did not approve the annexation ordinance, even though it had previously approved the annexation agreement for the project. As a result, we are now in litigation. I'm here tonight to ask you to work with me to resolve this matter so that we don't need to go through a costly court battle. A few basic facts may help for remembrance. Back in 2022, September, at the Tooele City Council meeting, the City Council voted 4-1 to approve our annexation agreement. This was after a 2-year effort, which included a lot of work on both the city's part as well as our own. At the conclusion of that City Council meeting, the city attorney took the microphone and explained that even though the annexation agreement had been approved, the City Council technically needed to approve the annexation ordinance as well to get the matter across the finish line. We were all a little bit surprised with that, I believe, and including council. Apparently, this was an oversight by whoever was preparing the agenda, or the attorney failed to make it known in advance. Anyway, it took 3 months before we had a quorum available to vote on it, and at that meeting, we were not able to get it approved. Mr. McCall reversed himself and voted against the annexation ordinance, even though he'd previously voted for the agreement. We aren't sure why he changed his mind, because we haven't been able to speak with him. That's why we filed the lawsuit. I believe we have a legitimate claim here, because how could someone in good faith approve an annexation agreement and then vote against the ordinance that puts it into law? We now have a new council, and I am relatively confident that this council would approve the annexation agreement and the ordinance if it were placed before them at this time. So I'm asking you to do this. In return, we would gladly drop our lawsuit. It would save us all a lot of time and heartache, and so if there are modifications that we need to look at in that agreement or within the ordinance or whatever, we'd be happy to sit down and talk about it. But I'm here to plead with you, basically, to put this back on the agenda so that we can discuss it and work together. And if you'll let me know if that's a possibility in the next meeting or two, we would be most grateful. So thank you.
Howard, just make sure you sign the roster over there.
Thank you.
else from the public? Seeing no one else come forward, I will close the public comment period and we'll move on to item 4, which is Rocky Mountain Power Foundation Grant Award presented to the Tooele Valley Theater. This is presented by Nick Jenkins, from the Rocky Mountain Power Foundation.
Hi, council members. My name is Nick Jenkins, and I am the Regional Business Manager for Rocky Mountain Power, and I'm pleased to be before you today as a member of the Rocky Mountain Power Foundation. The Rocky Mountain Power Foundation is a group that is separate but associated with Rocky Mountain Power, and we are pleased to team up with Tooele City. This is kind of one of the fun parts of my job. We've been working with Tooele City a lot. We've done everything from England Acres to the Youth Community Center to the Xeriscape project here at Tooele City Hall. A lot of great people doing good things, and that's one of the best parts about the foundation. Today I'm here with Chad Linwood from the Tooele Valley Theater. Chad has submitted a grant request for their summer season. They're going to have two shows this summer that'll be underneath the stars. I don't know, everybody's super familiar with it, so I'll take a minute to introduce it. These are family-friendly date night shows to where local actors get a chance to perform. That people have a home. People have a place to become part of the community, to meet new members of the community, and to find their place. If we look at what the Tooele Valley Theater has been, I love that one of the best new theaters in Utah by front row reviewers and the Utah Theater Bloggers. I love that. As we look at kind of where these funds will be going, is to help them reach their ultimate goal of create an education program for more opportunities for the youth of Tooele. This includes after-school programs. This includes programs for homeschoolers, in addition to the regular programs. So we appreciate Chad and the work that he's doing here, and we're excited to support him. So, and that's what I want to do. And we've got, it's no fun unless you have to have doing more Chad. So, and if it would be okay, we'd love to do a picture.
Yeah, we'd love to. Do you want to walk down there? Or? Let's all walk down there.
Let's go.
Thank you, council.
All right. Thank you, Nick. We know Rocky Mountain Power Foundation does a lot in our community. We appreciate it. We're moving on to item 5, which is a public hearing and motion on Resolution 2024-22, a resolution of the City Council of Tooele City, Utah, providing for the creation of 10th and Main Public Infrastructure District as an independent district, authorizing and approving a governing document and an interlocal agreement, appointing a board of trustees, authorizing other documents in connection therewith and related matters, presented by Jared Stewart, the Economic Development Director.
Thank you, Council. As we mentioned in the work meeting, this is our first public infrastructure district that is pending approval and has been applied for, and an opportunity for the applicant and the developer of the 1000 North and Main Street retail development to fund some of their private infrastructure. It's primarily going to be private infrastructure funded by this, but some of that will be turned over to Tooele City. They will have a capacity to bond for $18 million of infrastructure. And planned expenses of $15 million. And I do want to mention that we have two representatives who can help answer questions as needed that are here with us tonight. So if we do have some technical questions, we're able to address those as well. The next steps after this is approved would be that the district, meaning the development group, the Kimball group, would then have to go and sell bonds, right? And then they'll be able to utilize those for the infrastructure. We have a positive recommendation from staff to approve this. They've been able to answer all of staff's questions and make the minor adjustments that were requested in the document. So that's I think all I have, unless there's questions.
I thought of a question since the work meeting. Is there a time frame that they have to use the funds or the money that they're bonding?
Good question. I believe, if I remember right, the bonds expire in 31 years. Am I okay? I'm getting a positive recollection there. So yeah, so they have a while, right? But I do think that if they, it's very probable that with the property tax revenue that they'll have, as well as the development agreement that the city, or the RDA rather, has with the group, they'll be able to pay that back sooner. And once they pay it back, they'll dissolve the district essentially, because why tax yourselves essentially on to pay for something you've already paid off. So
I think it's important to reiterate again that it is just it's a tax on just that district, not other people around them, just that district.
And part of this process is that in the governing documents, it establishes the boundaries of the district and then possible annexation boundaries, right? So in theory, you could those boundaries could be larger, but in this instance, the annexation boundaries are identical to the boundaries of the district, so that it can't grow, I guess, is how that works out.
Okay.
I have just one quick question. When are we going to see vehicles moving dirty?
I get that asked every day to me, so I have no clue the
Every
answer.
single day, every day.
Hopefully soon. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay. This has a public hearing associated with it, so we will open the time up to the public. We ask that you state your name into the mic, keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and then sign the paper by Michelle and Loretta. The time is now the public's. Seeing no one come forward, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2024-22. And you read it, so we're good, right?
Yes.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilman Hanson, a second from Councilwoman Manzione. We'll take it to a vote. Councilwoman Manzione?
Aye.
Councilwoman Goches?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman McCall?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Item 6 is ordinance 2024-05, an ordinance of Tooele City amending Tooele City Code Section 8-3-7 regarding replacement garbage containers, presented by Shannon Wimmer, the Finance Director.
Good evening, Council. As you may recall, in January, we brought you the changes to our solid waste fees. And with that brings the need to update this ordinance as we now do charge for the replacement of a garbage container. So we just need to take that wording out of this ordinance and update it so that it's more in line with the fees that we charge.
Okay, any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-05, an ordinance of Tooele City amending Tooele City Code Section 8-3-7 regarding replacement garbage containers.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilman McCall, a second from Councilwoman Goches. We'll take it to a vote. Councilman McCall?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Goches?
Aye.
Councilwoman Manzione?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Item 7 is ordinance 2024-06, an ordinance of Tooele City codifying, that's what I thought. Questioned myself. Previously enacted residential plan unit developments presented by Roger Baker, the city attorney.
Thank you, Council. As you know, our zoning districts are contained in Chapter 7-14 of the City Code, our residential zoning districts. Our commercial and industrial and mixed-use zoning districts are in Chapter 7-16 of the City Code. A planned unit development, however, is its own zoning regulation that is approved by ordinance of the City Council after Planning Commission recommendation and after 2 public hearings. But those regulations don't make it into the City Code because we're not really creating a new zoning district. The property in a PUD has underlying zoning. We've just allowed it to be used a little differently. And so with the passage of time, it can become difficult to administer those planned unit developments and remember what the regulations are. For example, if a PUD was approved in 1994, the planner today, 30 years later, would have to know that it even was passed and existed, and then have quick access to it to remember what the zoning regulations are. And Jared Hall's about our 5th or 6th planner since 1994. So as I was talking with Jared and Andrew about PUDs and how they can be difficult to remember what the regulations are and how, so that we can implement them when building permits come in, we thought, you know what, why don't we put in the city code a chapter per PUD that just identifies what the zoning regulations are in that planned unit development, so that when the city planner or the community development director need to remember now, what are the setbacks in that development? They don't have to go hunt for a 30-year-old ordinance. They can just open the city code book and there it is. We don't need to go to the Planning Commission for this. We don't need public hearings because you're not enacting a new regulation tonight. You're just simply saying, take the regulations we've already passed through a public process and put something in the code so that they're all together and accessible. That's really the crux of tonight's proposal.
Any questions or comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-06, an ordinance of Tooele City codifying previously enacted residential planned unit developments.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Manzione and a second from Councilman McCall. We'll take it to a vote. Councilwoman Manzione?
Aye.
Councilwoman Goches?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman McCall?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. Item 8 is Resolution 2024-24, a resolution of the Tooele City Council approving a contract with, Paul will tell us the name.
Advanced Paving and Construction.
Advanced Paving and Construction for the 2024 Drew Bay Road widening project presented by Paul Hanson, the city engineer.
Thank you, Chair. As the council recalls, we opened bids last week on this project, and we asked for permission to bring it to you tonight, which would give us time to review the qualifications, the bids, and make sure everything was in line. So that's why we're adding the names and the dollar amount tonight for you. A little bit of history for the public. Drew Bay Road between Vine Street and Smelter is a very narrow roadway that is increasingly showing demand for traffic and movement on it. The pavement width today is as low as 20 foot in several areas, and we've for quite a while sought a way that we could fund improvements to that roadway to widen it, provide a trail, provide sidewalk, street lighting, and other amenities. The mayor and the council were successful in getting funding, make sure I read this right, from the Tooele County third quarter sales tax transportation from the fund from the Tooele County, with the city participating 10% with matching funds. So the funds that are available would come from those county funds through a grant, with the city matching 10%, and our 10% would come through a combination of Road C funds, stormwater funds, and other general funds of the city. The project was put out for bid. We advertised for 3 weeks, and we received bids from 7 plan holders. We bid the project with two schedules, the first being the road widening itself and utility upgrades, and the second be a large retaining wall and the trail. And we did that because we weren't sure how the bids were going to come back and what the budget would allow, so we could pull one out or the other. Fortunately, the bids were favorable for us, and the recommendation of staff and the administration is to award both schedules to Advanced Paving and Construction. They were the lowest responsible bidder. We've contacted the references they provided, and they've come back very positively. Jamie Grand Prix, our Public Works Director, has experience with them also, and he was in favor of using them for this project. This project, once begun, will close Drew Bay Road in that stretch of road between Vine Street and Smelter. We'll need to do that entirely because of the narrowness of the road and for public safety. So for a period of time, residents will have to find alternate ways to go north and south in that area, but we believe it'll be an incredible amenity to the city once it's completed. The construction time is estimated to be 3 months, possibly a little longer, depending upon if we have a wet spring or other delays that put us out, but it'll be a great project for the city. So the resolution that you would be approving tonight would award the contract, both Schedules A and B, to Advanced Paving and Construction in the amount of $1,461,332. We're asking for a 5% contingency in the amount of $73,000 that would only be used at the mayor's discretion based upon changed conditions we encounter. By those, we typically may find utility conflicts that we can't identify until you start digging, or we may find the soils are unsuitable and need some type of additional stabilization. But that is our request to you tonight, and if the council approves it, the contractor would begin construction in the mid part of April.
Okay, any questions or comments from the council?
I'm so excited.
So
Me
about
too.
motion to
That'd be great, yeah.
I do have one question.
Yeah, go
Does it require doing any improvement to the golf course? We have big, nets that prevent.
No, we're staying outside of the golf course. In fact, one thing we're doing to not impact the golf course is we're putting in a retaining wall. It's rather substantial in size. It'll be about 6 feet high at the tallest point. If you've driven down that road, you'll notice that the east side has quite a bit of grade difference. And so we have to put in a rather extensive retaining wall as part of the project, but we will not be impacting the golf course.
Okay. I'm excited for the trail. I think it'll Smelter Road will separate the new trail and this trail, so not a huge separation.
Yeah, and you'll now have connectivity from the golf course all the way to Pine Canyon Road. Nearly that
yeah.
full distance.
We'll get there.
We're getting there very quickly.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve Resolution 2024-24, approving a contract with Advanced Paving and Construction for the 2024 Drew Bay Road widening project.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Manzio and a second from Councilwoman Goches. We'll take it to a vote. Councilman McCall?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Goches?
Aye.
Councilwoman Manzio?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. That passes 5-0. Item 9 is our invoices and purchase orders presented by Michelle Pitt. None today. Item 10 is our minutes from March 6, 2024 work meeting and the March 6, 2024 business meeting. Any changes? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we approve the minutes from them 2 meetings.
I'll second his motion. We'll take it to a vote. Councilwoman Manzio?
Aye.
Councilwoman Goches?
Aye.
Councilman Hanson?
Aye.
Councilman McCall?
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady. I also vote aye. That passes 5-0. That Darwin's locking up too. And then we will adjourn from our business meeting at 7:26. And then I would like to reconvene our work meeting. Let me find the right paper. Okay. All right, so it's 7:27 and we're reconvening in our work meeting. We got to item D on our discussion items, so we'll have Jared present the Tooele City Active Transportation Plan. Jared is our Economic Development Director.
It's almost his last day.
Okay. Thank you, council. Get everything pulled up here. So the active transportation plan, we haven't heard about it in a little while, but we've talked about it a lot in the past, and this has been a grant-funded effort to plan for non-motorized transportation in Tooele City, right? So sidewalks, bicycle lanes, and how we move around, like it says, in active ways. So this was funded through a grant by the Wasatch Front Regional Council, and I think we had a 6% match. It was a very small match, but we were able to hire a consultant and produce this draft, right, which is now ready for review. And you have a printed version of that, I believe, and access to a link as well. If on the link, they've already made some changes and corrected typos, and you know, they've been working to refine this draft a little more, but we needed to get it before you as well. And I think, you know, just a couple highlights of this. We did a lot of engagement, right? We went to multiple events. We had a stakeholder group, which Councilmember Manzione was part of, right? And we had workshops, and we also went to public events and talked to the public, right? And so we did have a lot of engagement. We learned a lot through this, and it connects also to other plans. So it connects to the Tooele County Active Transportation Plan, to Wasatch Front Regional Council's regional long-range plans, and to plans that UDOT has. So it incorporates and takes into account all of those other plans as well. And then really this gives us, the results of it is that we have a prioritized set of kind of ranked what we should do next, right? And so some of the examples on there are, and the highest ranking one was actually a Main Street side path. So on one side of the road, you'd have a type of wide sidewalk, right? We already have a pretty wide sidewalk in the downtown area, but this would take it all through Main Street in the whole city to have a side path that is kind of a trail right along Main Street, right, that people could travel on. That ranked very high. Other projects, examples, and there are over like 40 different projects that this recommends, right? So there's quite a few in there, might be closer to 50. An extension of Vine Street bike lanes to go east further. A rail trail adjacent to Union Pacific's rail line, right, that goes through the city. That's that one other project on there. And a lot of other sidewalk and pedestrian recommendations as well. So I hope that as you get a chance to look at this, you're able to make some comments. You can get those back to staff, and we will get it back to the consultant to make any changes. Are there any questions that I could answer now? This won't be the only time you see it. We'll bring it back after we're able to make edits and adjustments and present it again, with the idea being that we adopt this plan. We don't put it into the general plan, but we can approve this as a plan of Tooele City that can be referenced and used in the future.
Any questions or comments?
I just participated in the steering group, and it was a great process, and we had some other community members also who came to some of the meetings and participated and gave insight, and I appreciate the work that's gone into it. I'm excited to have the plan.
I think it's great. Okay. Thanks, Jared. We'll move on to our next discussion item, which is a discussion on Tooele City Main Street Implementation Plan presented by Jared Stewart.
Thank you. This pairs fairly well with our active transportation plan. This is an effort that stems from UDOT's Move Utah program. And their Move Utah program is a type of active transportation, non-motorized transportation that UDOT wants to promote, healthy lifestyles, active living, and safety in transportation systems. So they have this Move Utah program, and through that, they were able to come and UDOT did 3 workshops with us here. We had city staff, we had Main Street businesses, and a lot of the downtown community was here and participated with us as well. So we had those 3 workshops, met together, and we created, and those were actually very, very well done workshops. We had big rolled out maps, and we've actually put on those maps, like, here's where the specific improvements we want to see, right? It was very detailed, and you can see that in this document as well. And I'm happy with how this document looks. And the vision that was developed in that is that on Tooele Main Street, we would create a top-tier pedestrian experience on Tooele Main Street with streetscape improvements, slower traffic, safer and more convenient crossings, and activation and events. This pedestrian experience will catalyze Main Street's business and community activity, mitigate the impacts of truck traffic, while recognizing and addressing the regional need to move freight and complement efforts of the Downtown Alliance and City to revitalize downtown Tooele. I think that really well captures what we want our Main Street to be, and is a good seems to be an accurate vision, I think. From that, I think some of the examples that this pulls out, and it does it in a very easy to implement way with cost estimates and well diagrammed examples, is that same side path along Main Street, adding trees, signage, pedestrian hybrid beacons, which you'd press and those would stop traffic. The plan calls for an additional a hawk beacon, right? That's what it's called, pedestrian activated beacon at 100 South, and then also at our crossing right here in front of Tooele City Hall. And I think those are just a few examples. And again, as you look at this, we can add things, adjust things, take input, and take that back to the consultant. And this, fortunately, also paid for entirely by UDOT, right? So we're appreciative of UDOT's efforts to put together something like this, and the consultant was wonderful to work with. I think that's about it for me. If there's any questions, I can answer.
Okay, any questions or comments?
I have a comment, if that's okay. Jared, I thought you've done a wonderful job, and it was great to be able to pull together some of the business owners that will be impacted by this. And it's really great to be able to have a walkable area so that you can hold events and keep people contained into your business areas. So we just think this is wonderful, and I appreciate your help and UDOT's support.
And were you done? I'm sorry. Okay. I just want to say thank you. It's been 3 years, right?
Yeah, 3.5.
It's been a really, really, really good 3 years with you, and I would be doing misservice if I didn't say I think you've gotten a lot done for Tooele City in 3 years as far as economic development is concerned, and we're going to miss you. And I wish you was going to stick around and finish all this, but as I tell my friends who moved from Tooele to Stansbury, I hope you don't start looking down on us, you know what I'm saying? Since you're going to Salt Lake City. But no, it's been fun working with you, Jay. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. You beat me to the punch. I was going to, I want to thank you as a city council for this opportunity, right? And to be able to work here has been so much more than I could have anticipated, right? To get to work on all these projects and recruit businesses and see things actually happen has truly been an honor. And thank you each for playing a role in helping us do that, and for helping make this happen. Thank you for the opportunity, and hopefully I'll be back often, right? That's the goal, is to get back here often as we work with EDC Utah and recruit new businesses. So thank you each for the opportunity, and I truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Jared.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item 6, which is a closed meeting. We do not have a closed meeting tonight. So item 7 is to adjourn at 7:37.
But don't leave, because we have an RDA meeting.